Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable gardens. A beautiful day here in August. You know, it's low humidity. It's even a little bit cooler on the cool side. Well, today I thought I would go harvest some of my yellow pear tomatoes. And I have them growing up one of my cattle panel trellises, similar to this one here where I have my sun gold cherry tomatoes growing. And I just love these cattle panel trellises for growing up these tomato plants or cucumbers or even cantaloupes. So anyhow, thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. I had started these yellow pear seeds down inside my basement over the winter time. And these were the yellow pear variety that I grew. And so follow me along and let's go harvest some of these tasty and sweet tomatoes. Good morning, Bailey. What are you digging out here in the garden? Your face is all dirty. And so let's take a walk through the trellis. It's down here at the end of my potato patch area where I have this other trellis of my yellow pear tomatoes growing up. But in this area here I have some of my potatoes growing. I have some of my Adirondack potatoes there. I have some Katahdin potatoes. But over here on this end here is where I have my yellow pear variety of tomato growing. And as you can see, this plant here is growing up my cattle panel trellis. And I also did a video early in the season on how you can install one of these. But I've been training the yellow pear tomato plant up this trellis using my jute twine and just tying it along as I go, as it grows. And I do actually need to tie a few more of these vines, but I just really haven't had time. But you can see how beautiful these yellow pear tomatoes are. They really are pear-shaped. Also alongside it I have growing its cousin, the sun gold cherry tomato. That's also doing very well here. And so I've been harvesting these tomatoes now for about a week. They didn't turn or mature as quick as the sun gold cherry tomatoes. But I just love being able to come out in the garden and, you know, picking the tomatoes from the vine and just chowing down on them. Yeah, it's really fun. I'm sure if you're a gardener, you know what I mean, just to go out and graze through your garden and pick your vegetables and eat them right there on the spot. And so this is actually the first time I grew these yellow pear tomatoes out in my garden. I thought I would just do a little bit experimenting with them. I've always grown the sun gold cherry tomatoes. I also have one other plant growing in another area in my garden that maybe we'll go take a look at. But anyhow, you could, you know, install one of these cattle panel trellises in your garden. I think I did the video on how you could build it for under $45. The cattle panel itself is like $22, plus if you have to buy 4 fence T-posts to construct it. But these trellises has really been a great advantage in your garden because you can grow things vertical, you know, rather than horizontal, and so you'll save a lot of space in your garden by growing things up instead of out. And so these are some of the beautiful looking yellow pear tomatoes. And so why don't we head up to the other section and harvest some from that other tomato plant. So follow me along. So let's head up this direction. That's up on the far side of my garden where I have my other indeterminate tomato plants growing. And so right here in the end of my tomato support is where I have this other yellow pear tomato variety growing. And again, you can see how beautiful these tomatoes are. The nice early morning sunshine is really highlighting these tomatoes very nice. And so, you always want to make sure too, growing tomatoes, that you have a good 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. The more the better when it comes to tomatoes. They love the heat. And so these yellow pear tomatoes have a nice taste to them. They're nice and sweet. But if I had to make a comparison, I would say the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes are a little sweeter. And I would always encourage gardeners to, plant a couple of these cherry tomatoes plants, because you can always freeze them over the winter too, and then enjoy them, during the winter, since you freeze them. And so I supported these cherry tomatoes using what I call the rope and twist method. You tie a knot around the bottom of the plant, and then you tie it up top to the hook. And then just as the plant grows and matures, you just twist it around the tomato vine. So let's take a closer look at that. So you can see I just tie a knot at the bottom of the plant, and I just twist it around the stem as it grows and matures. Bailey's my little rototiller in the garden. And so it's a really effective and easy way to support your tomatoes. And I do that with all my indeterminate tomatoes. Your indeterminate tomatoes are vining. They can grow up to 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, or 12 feet. It all depends on how much you prune them. But some of my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes have grown up to 14 feet long. And you can also prune the leader on the plant to stop it from growing. And so I just have a few more here I want to take off the vine. And so I have a nice little harvest of these beautiful yellow pear tomatoes. And so anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. And again, let me encourage you to think about growing some of these indeterminate cherry tomato plants in your garden. And the other variety is your determinate tomatoes. They're like a bush variety. And the nice thing about them is they pretty much come to maturity within a couple weeks of each other. That way they're great for canning. And so if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the section below. And you can also subscribe to my channel so that you can receive future videos. And you could also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. Well, anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.